Okay, so we're live. We're broadcasting. So waiting for one more person to jump in, and just want to say welcome everyone to our fourth call. This is the first in a series on leadership. So we finished our series on self-care practice, and this is the first one in leadership. And I'm sorry, I'm not displaying great leadership visually because it's so dark and grainy here, but I'll figure that out someday when I can get a personal assistant over to my place and tell me how to use all of my technology. So in leadership, the first thing that, and we were just talking about this before, that's why I thought I'd hit record, is it's not about, you know, we always think of leadership as this big thing. We see Martin Luther King, or we see Nelson Mandela, or we see actors and actresses that are leading the way in these big ways. And we forget that leadership is a daily grind. It's a daily learning. It's a daily thing. So today I had the first day in a 90-day challenge that I've made for myself. And it was leadership. From the outside, it looked like I was just making phone calls and writing Facebook messages, but it's leadership. It's every day, it's every little step of the way. So that's the context that I want to set for you guys and for this series on leadership, these three classes, is that it's every little step. And it's also in a big way about layering. So one of my mentors in my life right now is huge on layering, and I'm now huge on layering, and I'll explain that better in a little bit because of the results that I've seen. But before we jump into that, I just want to hear from you guys. What do you think of when you hear leadership? Like what comes to mind? And there's nothing right or wrong. I'm going to set the tone for things a little later. I just want to see where everyone's at and what are your thoughts on leadership? And I'm going to drink wine during this class because I can. Jump up, jump up.
When I think leadership, I think of like a person being able to get a group to work towards and achieve shared goals. And like you said, that's not just the big things like doing some big impassioned speech, but the daily grind, I guess, sort of like making sure that everyone sees the big picture, everyone does their bit to get there, and you yourself doing your bit as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Can't hear Vari. I can see her speaking, but I can't hear her.
I can't hear her either.
Still can't hear you. Tara, if you're able to jump up, please do. Vari, I remember we had this issue once before, but you fixed it. So whatever you did last time, you can do that again.
Oh,
Oh,
I
Tara.
think Tara was sending messages in the chat.
Except I'm in that chat and I don't see. Oh, sorry. Someone or something that starts change for the better. Okay, got it. Great, thank you. Okay, so Vari, once you get that sorted out, please jump up. But for time's sake, I'm going to keep us moving along. So for this class, what we're going to cover in this class, we're talking about leadership, and it's about being better leaders in your life and in the context of young ones, because that's why we're here, is for young ones. But it's both. They're both at the same time. You can't improve your leadership in young ones and have it not carry over into your life. So I'd like to know a little bit about what would it look like for you if you were being better leaders in your life and in young ones. What would that look like? And we do a lot of this work because it's the foundation. It's the beginning of everything. What would it look like for you if you were a better leader in your life and in young ones? And you can either type that in or you can pop up if you've got audio. Or do you have audio yet? Nope. But you look really beautiful. You look really nice today.
I think for me, it would be keeping more on top of things
Hmm.
because I tend to lose consistency sometimes when I'm busy in some aspects of my life. I tend to fall behind on doing things I need to do in others. And I know that sometimes probably my work at Young Ones has suffered for this reason. So I think that that's one thing that definitely needs to change for me.
Okay, so if your leadership were stronger, you'd be more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What things would you be more on top of?
Um, I guess maybe like response time. Like sometimes I have so many emails that I don't respond right away, and then I miss it, that sort of thing.
Okay. Excuse me. So normally I take a lot of notes. Tonight I'm going to do things differently. I'm not going to take any notes to hold you
Mhm.
guys accountable. So that means anytime that you have an insight, a breakthrough, an idea, it's up to you to write it down, type it down. So Cara, if you want to write that down as part of your intention of what you want to get out of this class, that would be really
Okay.
great. And for everyone else, I'm not going to get sharing from everybody on everything. And it looks like Cara's the only one with audio, so I might be picking on you a lot. But I want you to write down, what would it look like if your leadership was stronger, both in your life and in your participation in Young Ones. So what would that look like? Because without knowing that, without having that, there's no point in having this class unless you actually know what you want to get to. So I'm going to use something that's most top of mind for myself, which is my business, which
Mhm.
I'm going to be referencing that a lot this class. It's not a promo. If it comes across like that to anyone listening to this recording later as well, I really don't want it to sound that way. But it's been all I think about lately. So that's where a lot of these leadership lessons are coming through. So if that brings up any emotions for you, let me know. But I hope it doesn't. It's just like my relationship. I use that all the time to source great material for when I'm presenting the class. So I'm going to use an example in my business, and I'm not going to share what that is, but it's an income level and it's a level within the company that I want to reach. So that's what if I had better leadership, that's what it would be. So I've got skin in the game too. I don't just present classes to you guys and tell you to do stuff and then not do it myself. So I'm in the game with you. The other important part of this is, what are you most passionate about in your life? What matters to you the most? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? Because if we don't connect this leadership class to what you really care about, you won't do anything with it. This will just be
Mhm.
great information that you look at, that you watch, or maybe you review it and maybe get a little bit out of it. But it's the difference between, if you have something you really care about and are passionate about, you could get one success secret and you could skyrocket to success. And I literally mean that. But if you're just an observer watching for great information, it's going to be a waste of time. It might actually be more detrimental because now you've got more information that you can't do anything with. And that all hinges on, what do you care about? What are you passionate about? So I'd love to have Vari and Tara, if you can type in and they may seem completely disconnected from leadership and what we're talking about here, but what are you most passionate about? What gets you out of bed in the morning? And I'll give you an example while you guys are typing. I talked to a guy this morning in Mexico because as I expand my business, I'm building in Mexico because we were just in Mexico for our vacation. Yay, it was amazing.
Wow.
And met this guy, and he was really interested in the kind of business that I run. So we were talking, and he's crazy passionate about dogs, Mexican dogs, and all the street dogs. And I can see this perfect, clear correlation for him because my business is a health business. So he can have better health for his dogs, better health for him and his wife, and increased finances so that he can adopt more dogs and, more importantly, send more dogs to Canada and other countries where they can have better homes. So there's a clear connection there. So if I can connect what I'm doing and what I provide, the service that I provide, with his passion, he is going to take a real look at it. And if there isn't any connection, then we won't do business together.
Mhm.
That's just one example. Like, it might seem like dogs and a health business have nothing to do with each other, but they really have a great connection. Now, whether or not he sees that is up to him, but that's the example I want to give you guys. Like, whatever your passions are, it's cool. Well, they either connect or they don't. But until we know what those passions are, we're floundering in the dark. So, Vari and Tara, if you can type in, or did you already type in? I can see it. Tara said, in my life, better leadership would be me prioritizing. Oh, this is about what leadership is. Sorry. Prioritizing things better, especially when it comes to seeking out job opportunities. Okay, great. So, Tara, that's really powerful. Seeking out job opportunities. And what does that look like to you? Is that you would have 5 interviews a week? Is that you'd be doing an hour every day of job seeking, or what I call job finding, job landing? Because when you're job seeking, you'll forever be seeking a job. I call it job landing. What would that look like for you if you're able to prioritize that job seeking or job landing? And then, Car, if you want to share, you're welcome to. I don't want to keep picking on you, but if you want to share some of the things you're really passionate about, we can connect those to leadership.
That's something I struggle with, actually. I don't know, like, it's something I'm always trying to figure out what I'm passionate about, because there doesn't seem to be, like, some people have a very clear passion. I don't necessarily, but I am very, very close to my family, so that's one thing that's definitely a priority, and I would say that I am very much invested in maintaining my relation. Oh, just a bit of background about my family. Half of my family lives in the Philippines.
Yeah.
This is my dad, my brother, and my mom, and my sisters and myself are here. So something about, if anything, it would be something about maintaining that bond across like international boundaries. I don't know if this is exactly what you are looking for.
I think that's great.
That's definitely one thing that I'm very passionate about, like maintaining that.
Yeah, and one thing that I'm looking for, and that is great.
Yeah, I'm also passionate about my country, the Philippines, because I've been here for 7 years, and it's always like at the back of my mind, eventually I want to be able to help the country, like go back, give back, that sort of thing. I mean, I love Canada, but my home country is the Philippines, and there's so many opportunities to help out there, so that's something that, eventually, or I'd like to find ways to do.
Great. Okay. Yeah, so maintaining or even like improving those family relationships would be a great place to display your leadership. And then the country of the Philippines. And that's a very general way to say that, but that might become more clear. Okay, great. And for anyone who is waiting for the real class to start, like the real information, this is the class, the real information. If you don't have these things, this is pointless. This is like trying to swim when you have never been in. You want to get the advanced swimming lessons, but you've never jumped in the water. So jumping in the water, just in case that was on anyone's mind currently or watching the recording later on.
Another thing I'm passionate about. It seems a little bit selfish, but I love seeing the world. Like I love to travel, see new places, that sort of thing. So that's one thing.
Great. Yeah, there's nothing. That's one of my huge passions. That's a big reason why my wife and I are building the business that we are, because we went to Mexico for 2 weeks.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And we do that all the time. That's huge motivation.
Yeah.
And call it selfish. I don't think it is, because when I go and have 2 weeks of sun in the middle of the wintertime, I'm a much better person when I come back.
True. That's an excellent point.
I'm of better service to the world, and so will you be. And when we have better cultural understanding of the rest of the world, we're better ambassadors for peace and for evolution, conscious evolution, whatever you like to call that. So yeah, that's great. Okay, so having an idea of what you're passionate about. Now, this will evolve over time, and it will shift and change. I've been doing my business and business in general for 12 years, and I just today got another ding of clarity that I do almost everything I do so that my wife will be proud of me. And it has taken like a decade or more, and then in this current business, over a year of working my ass off. Or actually, no. Initially, I wasn't. Now I'm working my ass off, but initially it was just little bits here and there. But I did it because I want her to be proud of me. The look in her eyes when I do something good in my business, that look of pride, it just fills me up. And I've been so not wanting to see that, because part of me didn't want to acknowledge what my true motivation is, because then I could be safe. in my little bubble of not really stretching and expanding. And also, I'm an exceptionally stubborn person, and I didn't want to see that, and I didn't want to tell people I didn't want to share that. So it can take some time, or it can happen right now. And it's different for everyone. There's no rhyme or reason. I wouldn't spend much time trying to figure that out. I'll just let that evolve as it does. So we've got what your leadership would look like if it was expanded or improved in your life, and in hopefully in young ones too, that you've got those both written down. We know what you're passionate about. So now we want to connect those. So for example, with my passion of travel with my wife, that's, for me financially, that's a huge motivation in my business. So boom, passion and reason for leadership are now linked and connected. And I've got like 25 reasons of why those are linked and connected. Same in young ones. A big part of my reason for being on the planet is to help people evolve their consciousness to, and I call that lots of different things: improve self-awareness, your self-care practice, your resilience, your motivation, your intrinsic internal motive, like all those different things. Call them whatever you like, but that's why I'm showing up here and not getting paid, because that's one of my ways of being of service. So whatever you find, it will connect to young ones. You may just have to tweak it or shift it a little bit. So once we've got those foundational pieces, now we can get into going into layering things on top. So the examples that I want to give for that are again, from my business, but the reason for this is because it's so top of mind, and I just finished a training conference, a 3-day training conference, and again, that's why this is in my mind. So I won't give you the full names of people because it's not about that. I'll just give you their first names so that you can't look them up or anything. So you can get the examples of what I'm talking about in terms of layering. So layering is progress. So instead of, I'm not a leader now and I want to be a leader, so I've got to go take a full leadership course, or I've got to completely change everything I do about leadership and transform the way that I approach leadership. That's not this class. If that's what you want, if you're looking for some big bang to go off in your head and now you're a brilliant leader all of a sudden, this is not the class for you. This is the class of layering and progress, and step by step you'll get there. So some of the really great layers that I got and solidified, I got to shake the hand of two men that made a big difference for me. And they were little tiny things. One man, his first name is Hubert, and he's of German descent, and he's been in business in general for 40 years, and he loves the current business that he and I are in. So until that time that I had heard him say that on a call a couple months ago, I wasn't thinking of myself as a professional. I wasn't thinking that I could stand in a room with big business bankers and marketing professionals and feel confident. And then I heard him say that, and I thought, well, if a guy who's been in business, of all types of businesses that long, loves this one, then I can love it too. And when I shook his hand at this conference, my belief in my leadership, my belief in my abilities just went way up. It was a little thing, seemed like nothing. I didn't take a course. I didn't pay lots of money. I didn't even read a book. I just heard him speak once, and then I shook his hand. Another man that I met from Quebec, Jacques, I got to shake his hand. He said something similar on a call about a totally different part of the journey. And when I shook his hand, boom, solidified my next level or my next layer of leadership. And I've got a whole list just to remind myself of all the layers, the little layers that took me from so not confident in my leadership abilities to now confident in my leadership abilities. And that will just continue to expand. So what are some of the layers that you've already experienced in your current journey of leadership? Because here's the thing. If you're on this call or you're listening to this call, you're already on the path of leadership. Maybe you haven't realized that for yourself yet, but you're already on the path of leadership. You're already a leader somewhere in your life, probably multiple places. And the fact that you're in young ones also shows that you're a leader. So now is the time to become aware of some of those layers. So what are some of those layers? So Vari and Tara, you guys can type them in. Kara, if any of them are coming up or coming to mind, I'd love for you to share. And anyone who's listening, just write them down, jot down. What are those layers in the area of leadership that you've already experienced?
Okay, let me think for a bit.
Okay, cool. Tara said that one layer, the encouragement of my family and friends, completing my degree is another. Totally, absolutely. And it's great how these layers can seem like they're in another area of life, but they relate to all areas of life. So completing your degree, it probably wasn't even a degree in leadership, but it's still, you're now able to count on yourself. You're now able to trust yourself at a new level because you completed something. So all of those are really powerful.
Mhm. For me, maybe taking initiative and actually starting like with the first step in certain plans. Like, for example, I think all the time about finding a new job, something that fulfills me more, but until I actually send in that application or send or make that networking connection, then it was just on the level of thought. So one layer is that first step.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
And I would take that one step deeper. So, for example, with Tara, she can point to completing
Mhm.
her degree.
Right.
So even in her most negative states, which we all have, her brain can't take that away.
Mm-hmm.
Her brain can never again say, you've never accomplished anything, because she can
Right.
go, here's my degree. Can't
Mm-hmm.
touch it. My brain, no matter how negative I get, can't take away the check that's sitting on my desk or Jacques' hand that I shook. I have a very clear mental picture in my mind of shaking that man's hand and the look on his face and even the essence of what he said to me. My
Mm-hmm.
brain can never take that away. So I'd like you to think about what's a specific layer that you have that your brain can never take away. And you don't have to tell me right now, but just for you to think about, like, the more specific, the more powerful.
Yeah. I guess like getting the CHRP designation
Okay, perfect.
for HR, which I did 2 years ago. Yeah, that's one concrete thing.
Okay. So because
Um,
because you're here on the call, I can pick on you the way that I often pick on. This is great because
okay.
focus you. So these are all little things, and it's not to like it transform you right now. It's just to have you tweak some things to make one step at a time because I can tell you're ready for one more step.
Mm-hmm.
So when you speak about that, you kind of throw it away. So you said, I
Mm-hmm.
guess the HR degree and
Right.
something. I couldn't even hear what you were saying because your body language and your voice. Well, like I guess it was, this.
Mm-hmm.
People can watch back in the recording it, and you didn't do exactly that, but your body language is very, and you even did the shoulder shrug, like this is so nonchalant.
Did I? I didn't even notice.
Exactly. But that's why video is so great.
Are the
So
recordings videos or just
yeah,
audio?
yeah the video is
Oh,
recorded
everything. Okay.
right on there. So it's and it was more subtle. I'm making it more dramatic so you can see the difference.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, own it
Okay.
and own it every time you speak about it. Like I got my HR certification.
Mm-hmm.
Done.
Right.
And as you start to own that, now, so you've got the layer. You've already got one layer, which is that you did that, and your brain can't take it away. You got your certification. The next layer of that will be when you own it, that I,
Mm-hmm.
and it's done. So that's why we're,
Okay.
oh, can't see. I'm sorry, a little bit closer into your right. I
Sorry?
have, no, other way of
Oh,
right. I have something thinking. I have been thinking.
Typing.
I have been,
typing. Oh, typing.
oh,
Mhm.
oh, you've been typing. Sorry, brain blow. But you're not typing in the same place as Tara. Oh, you're typing. Wow. Okay, there's a lot to track here. Whoa, you've been typing a lot. Sorry about that. There's a lot of different things to track. I apologize. Um, um, okay, great. So I'll just okay, perfect. Thank you for telling me. I'm so sorry about that. So, Cara, that's the next little layer or level for
Okay.
you is really owning that.
Yeah.
And then so Vari said, um, think of someone who can inspire and motivate others to achieve goals. Talking about leaders, I'd also like to have a greater initiation presence and take on more brainstorming roles. Okay, program development, so that's your clear path of where you want to go. And the layers are that you are a co-developer of Young Ones, public speaker, recovery advocate. You take leadership roles at school, awards for your schooling, thesis, child care provider, and person that people go to for advice. Awesome. And you can put specifics beside each one of those. Who was the last person that came to you for advice? You know, and just kind of own some of those things. Now, eventually, some of these things that we layer don't matter anymore. Excuse me. And there will be some. It's my dinner not agreeing with me for some reason. And some of them will be ones that we cherish for a lifetime. So I'll never forget when I ran a race in grade, it was either 10 or 11, and I've always been shorter than everyone, especially in sports. All the guys are always a foot taller. And I ran this race, this middle distance race, and it was either second or third. And the part that I'll never forget, and so that meant that I placed and I could go on to the next round of competition. And the part that I'll never forget was I'm walking back, I'm so tired, but so like buzzing at the same time. And different teammates see me on the track as I'm walking back and they congratulate me, they say, good job. And then Mr. Fraughton, who's one of the kids in my school, was walking past me. And he said, hey, Will, came second. What's up with that? And totally deadpan, totally serious, like, what's up? What's wrong with that? Come on, they're only a foot taller than you. And he smiled and he winked. I can't wink very well, but he smiled and he winked. And I got that it was really a wonderful compliment that all these guys were at least a foot taller than me, which meant that their stride, I had to stride 2 for all of their 1, which in a middle distance race makes a big difference. And I still whooped like 25 of them because I trained harder, and that's how I work. So that I've kept with me. That's a layer that sticks around. And then there's other ones that I've forgotten a long time since that obviously don't mean that much to me anymore. But they were important layers at the time. So, you know, your HR certification right now, it may just be one that you need to own right now, but it may not be one you tell your grandkids about. It may just be an important layer for this stage of your development. Okay, cool. Okay, awesome. So we're tracking our layers. We're looking at which ones matter to us. And the layers that we're building are only in the direction of, and I know I'm on purpose and not giving you guys like step 1, step 2, step 3, because this is more something to integrate into your mindset, not like you'll do these steps and then work. No, this call is something you could listen to 100 times and you would still be able to integrate it deeper and you'll still think of new layers. So with these layers, you're only building layers in the direction of life that you want to go. So I'm not building layers in the direction of being a pro athlete because I don't care about that. I'm also not building layers in the direction of, I don't know, being a great house cleaner because I care about it, but I don't deeply care about it. I'm building layers in the direction I'm going, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, being a great father, and hopefully soon-ish husband, or currently husband, hope to be soon-ish father. Like those are the layers that I'm building. So we're only building layers in the direction right now of your leadership for young ones in your life. And you can apply that to other areas too, but it's important to note that, and the specificity is really important. I'm not sharing all the layers that I've ever had. I'm sharing the ones that are important in the area I'm talking about, which is my business. So you're not just resourcing like, oh, when I was 10 years old, I got an A on my math test and that was really important to me, which may still be a layer for you, but that may be a layer for a different area of your life that doesn't really apply here. My sports one really applies because I know that I will work hard on my business no matter what it takes or how long it takes, I'll be successful. So that applies there. So I don't want you just to be looking up layers and positive experiences from your past and everywhere, just the ones that relate to what you're focused on. So that begs the question, what do you want? Which we've talked a little bit about, but you may now, and I want to give you a moment, have greater clarity on exactly what you want in young ones and in your life in regards to leadership. So it may have evolved a little bit, you may have greater clarity. I want to give you just a moment to write that down. Okay, cool. So this also, and I just heard someone go ding, which would be Tara-D. Oh, sorry, what was the question? The question was, what do you want? In the area of leadership in young ones and in your life, what do you want? What are you moving towards? Because that's how you're going to know what are the right or the correct layers to be layering in the direction of that. The other reminder is, what is your why? What is your passion? What gets you out of bed in the morning? Maybe you have a little bit greater clarity on that as well. So if you do, write that down. And once you have those kind of written down, I'm going to pick on Vari. And Vari, I'd like you to write down, it may already be there in all the text you've written, but for my sake, if you could write down what's the intention that you have for your leadership, and then I'll start the next part of this process with you in the next question. So what is your intention for these classes in your leadership, in your life, and in young ones? I also want to say this is a nice big glass of wine. I love working from home. It's so awesome. Is it that last part, Vari? The co-develop? No, those are the layers. The intention must be possibility of being able to make a positive impact on someone else's life. That's one. Okay. Life through my career, my future career in occupational therapy, and through young ones. Okay. Okay. So we'll start with Vari. So in many ways, Vari, you're already fully moving towards that vision, more than most people. You're in school for it. You're a leader in young ones. You're developing other leaders in young ones. You're already like in the I don't actually know the percentage, but you're in the upper echelons of people who say they want something and then actually take the action to move towards that. So this may seem like an odd question given how dedicated you already are, but you see that you could expand your leadership. Yeah, okay, you're shaking your head. Good. So what stories do you have that stop you from improving your leadership? And I'm sorry for the bad wording here. Anyone who's really into personal development will probably tear a strip off me, but the stories don't stop you, but whatever. What stories do you have about your leadership or about yourself that stop you from moving forward? And this is one of those times, like, it's sometimes a little bit challenging to get really down to it. And I appreciate that. If I ask you and you're not willing to go there, I totally understand. And it's an important part of the process. Also, it's important to note, this is not therapy. This is not like we're going to get back to that time that you failed and emotionally re-experience it and that thing. That's been proven now through neuroscience that that's actually detrimental. To re-experience the negative events of your life is actually not beneficial. It rewires your brain to experience more pain. So that's not the point. We want to dispatch and view some of those things so we can start to pick a new direction. Okay, so I want to take more consideration. It's so weird with your text because it all just blurs into one. When I get down, school like this, childcare provider, person, people who go to bars, I want to take a more consistently proactive role. When I get down on myself and lose my self-confidence, esteem, I will take a backseat role and let others take a leadership role because I convince myself my opinions and ideas aren't relevant. Okay, great. So that's what we have to work with. And you can get even more specific if you really look at it. And sometimes it's helpful and sometimes it's not. I leave it to you guys to intuitively know for yourself. From myself, I find it really helpful, or I did with the current one, which I might share in a little bit, or I might not, but I found it really helpful to get down to the specifics of it and even see, and this will sound extreme, I even started to see which family member did I learn that from. Now, most of the time that is a really unhelpful thing to do because it gets you obsessed about the problem. And my ratio is 1% on what's not working and 99% on what is working. But you need that 1% to be able to course correct when course corrections are needed. So, so Vari, with that, we want to go to work on dismantling that story. So the specific part that we can pick out there is because I convinced myself that my opinions and ideas aren't relevant. So I'd like you to go to work right now on when in your life can you look at and see that that statement is full of shit. Like when, and you may not have any, I'm willing to bet that you do, but you may not have any, and that's okay, we can still go to work on that. But I'd like you to look at what those might be, and then I'm going to read what Tara wrote. So Tara wrote, moving towards a life with full-time job in a field, which also allows for me to be physically active, travel, and making meaningful connections with others, especially my family, in terms of career to help young people to realize their potential and strength. What stops me? My fear of my own potential, the thought that I might not be good at what I do. Okay, cool. So Tara, same thing for you. So fear of your own potential. I'm going to pick on that just a little bit with total love and respect, because I see that you have fallen into a similar thing that I did for many, many years, which is, you know, there are these big terms that we throw around in motivational videos and in books, the fear of failure, or the fear of success, and there are all these general catch-all phrases that I feel are not very supportive, unless you have found, and if you have, awesome, unless you have found that using those big labels really helps you. And there are some people that does. So if that works for you, I'm not here to crap on that. But if you haven't found it specifically helpful, and by specifically I mean that you use the label and then you can correlate the improvement in your life circumstance. I'm going to say that again. Sometimes we think that things really work for us, and I'm going a little bit more general here. We think things really work for us, but if we actually look at them, we see that they don't. So it might feel good to watch TV every night, and we think that that's working for us, but really it's not supporting our greatest life. That's one example. So if the large labels work for you, I'm not here to crap on that, but only if you can point to specific examples. You don't have to tell me, but that you can point to specific examples where they've really worked for you to move forward. And the thought that you might not be good at what you do. So great. So the work that Vari's doing now, Tara, I'll ask you to do, which is to look at examples in your life when that is completely false. So where in your life was it completely false, this thinking or this thought that you might not be good at what you do? Therefore, what were the times that you were really good at what you do? And Vari, same thing for you. So I see that you wrote some down. Today in class, study group meetings, we were working on a number of group projects. My group looks to me for ideas. Okay, great. Perfect example. So Vari has examples from her life actually now. And Tara, I'm going to guess that you do too, although you might not. So the next step to do is to go out and create new examples in your life that prove that that is false. And to do it soon. And here's the important thing. When you do it, acknowledge and say, see, you are wrong. I am right. My heart is true. Whatever juicy love language you want to speak to yourself, and we all have different ways that we like to talk to ourselves in the affirmative positive. I had huge things about my business that it was weird and awkward to call people and talk to them about their health, or even with good friends that I know well, and we're sitting down in person and they say something like, I don't know, they give me a health concern. I'm trying not to be too specific with you guys in terms of my business, but it's hard because those are all the examples that come to mind. But they'll give me a health concern, and I used to think it was weird that as their friend, I would bring up this health product. And I really had to shift that. And I've had now so many friends that really appreciate that I did bring it up because they've got new things in their life now.
Mm-hmm.
And that took some shifting to my brain.
Mhm.
And I could look to all the examples in the past when I recommended other people's businesses and when I recommended other people's books and other people's courses, and people had great breakthroughs in their life. But it wasn't until I created my own personal examples in my life that now that is completely gone. It's like, it doesn't exist. Now, I'm not going to go up to someone I don't know on the street who is walking with a cane or in a wheelchair and say, "Oh, by the way, I've got this great help." No, that would be weird. That would just be strange. I'm not asking you to put your brain completely aside, although I am going to ask you to do that in just a minute. But it's more subtle than that. But it is important to go and create new examples of how that thought, that specific thought, is bunk. So for anyone watching this recording, if you have a general thought like the fear of success, as I mentioned with Tara, the reason why I really brought that up was because I want you to bring it down to a specific. I'm afraid that if I fail, I'll let down my brother, sister, mother, wife. You want to get it specific. So once you have it specific like that, you can go to work on creating a new layer in the direction that you really want to go. So once you've got that story down, I'm not a good public speaker, or no one wants me to lead them, or whatever it is, then you can go to work on dismantling that. So as you create new layers, you're going to need to learn this very crucial skill. And I have a feeling that someone has a question right now, so I just want to stop for a moment. Does anyone have a question before I go to this next part?
Not a question. I was just going to remark that I also have, I guess, that same fear of failure, fear of finding out that I'm not as, I guess, I'm not as talented or as deserving that people think that I am. But another thing I was going to say is tying into earlier when you told me that I wasn't owning it when I talked about my designation. This is something that is actually a barrier to me. I tend to downplay in my own mind my achievements, and I've always been this way. And I don't know exactly why that is. Like, I haven't really explored. But yeah, that's definitely something that keeps me from reaching for things that I probably could achieve in many different aspects. Like, even to link it to young ones sometimes. When I have ideas or when I want to weigh in on a certain topic that we're discussing, for example, I'll type out an email and then I second guess myself and I think, okay, I don't think this is what they're looking for. I don't think this is valid. So it's still, going back to that barrier of me not thinking that I don't know. I'm sorry, I wasn't able to express that exactly, but I think maybe you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think I do. I don't want to assume that I do.
Yeah.
So the word that for some reason rang in my head when you said it was talented.
Uh-huh.
I'm not talented enough.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Like, I did very, very well in school. And I guess when I say talented, I mean skilled, competent. Um, I don't feel like a lot of the time, even though I know I have the achievements to back it up, I don't feel like I'm qualified for things that I do. And I don't know if this is something just in my mind or the way I was maybe raised. My society, like in the Philippines, deference is very, very highly valued. So you like we tend to downplay our strengths and our talents rather than talk ourselves up. And that's something that I find is, I guess it's a hindrance to my leadership sometimes.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a really crazy question.
Okay.
Who does that all belong to?
What is that? What do you mean? Who does what all belong to? All that I've just said?
Yeah, I'm not talented enough, I'm not skilled enough, I'm not competent enough, qualified enough.
I think it's all me. Like you said earlier, it's a matter of owning my strengths and my achievements and my layers. So,
But none of those things are your strengths or layer achievements.
pardon?
Well, all of the I'm not talented enough or the I'm
Mhm.
not skilled enough. And for everyone listening, this is your conversation too. Who who does that all of that belong to?
Myself? Is that?
So you don't actually need to know or find out or go back
Mhm.
in time to figure out like who was the person that said it to you and all that stuff.
Right.
You don't need to go there. And I'm willing to bet that all that stuff doesn't actually even belong to you. I know that when it happens in your head, it
Mhm.
sounds like it's you, but it's not you. It's a voice that you heard that someone said somewhere in your life, and you accepted it as the truth, and now
Mhm.
that's the way you started to live. And a really important point for everyone is, again, this is the 1% of time. The rest of our time and our day and our week and our life, we're focused on where we're going, what are the layers that we're layering, what are the skills we're going to learn, and everything. And then
Mhm.
sometimes, the 1% of the time, you drop into this place. I didn't plan to go here on this call, but it's important. If it's coming up for Kara, it's coming up for everyone. So all of that stuff, like I said, you don't need to figure out who it belongs to, but it definitely belongs to someone else.
But is it possible that it's because I'm looking back and all I've ever received were words of encouragement and words of praise. Like looking back into my childhood and like what I got from school, from family and everything. It was all positive, but I think I don't know if this makes sense or not, but I think I correlate everything that I've heard to what I think I should have achieved by now, and I fall short for myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Or you fell short for someone in your life.
I don't. Well, I don't think so. I don't know. Or I fall short on what I think people expect of me.
Yeah. And it's
Mhm.
not like any of this is the truth or that this is the way, the only way to figure this all out and everything. And there's really nothing to figure out. But
Mhm.
I'll give you this as an example. Um, when I talk to people about health specifically, and I say, I don't know, oh, someone says to me, I don't sleep very well. And I go, oh, well, I found out some really great ways to sleep well. I have really great sleep habits. I've always slept really well. I'd love to share with you what I do so that you can have a great sleep too. And they'll say something like, oh, yeah, I know I've tried everything. I've tried this, and they're just not open to any new information. And what I say in my head is, and forgive the French, or, well, I've already swore on this recording, so it doesn't matter if I do it again. You're a fucking idiot. You're a stupid, stupid person. Who wouldn't want this information that I have that has obviously worked for me and other people if you have sleep problems? You're a
Mhm.
bleeping idiot. And I'm only now, and I've had that my whole life. And I'm only now realizing it doesn't even belong to me. It
Right.
belongs to like some family member at some time, and I don't even remember who it is. But clearly that's not me. Clearly I would never think that Vari or Tara or Kara or anyone else is actually a fucking idiot. Like I can see Vari smiling and laughing. Like no one would think that I have those secret thoughts in the back of my head, but I do. But they're not me. They're not me. We are much more beautiful people than that. All of us on this call and all of us on the planet. We really are. So if you're having those kinds of thoughts like I'm not talented enough, I'm not skilled enough, I'm going to ask you to start putting those aside. And the next point that I have in the training is all about that. And like I said, please don't, you guys on the call and everyone listening, please don't go to a therapist or like spend 2 hours on the meditation cushion trying to figure out who was the family member that said the thing to you. Please don't go there. That's not the point of this call. Kara will have something pop, I'm sure, in the next couple days or weeks. And if she doesn't, it's all perfect. It's all our journey. Please don't go and psychoanalyze yourself. Not the point. Not the point.
Mhm.
And to that point, the next piece of this is to turn your brain off. So you know the direction that you're going, you know your why and your purpose, and you started to layer things in the direction that you're going. You've seen, now that you're taking action of getting those layers, now you can see what some of the stories are that come up. Like as I grow my business, I started to see those thoughts about people are stupid idiots. I started to see those come up and I go, whoa, what is that? Then I can start to dismantle those with new experiences of people not being stupid idiots. And also, in a way more importantly, I can turn my brain off. And I did that today. I called up an old customer. I turned off my brain that said that she was a stupid idiot because her credit card expired and therefore she didn't get her products, and that was months ago, and she never called me, and she's a stupid idiot because she should know how great these products are and how much they're going to help her. Whoa!
Mm-hmm.
Stop it. Brain turn off. Pick up phone. Call. Look at a nice tree or something so I distract myself. Have a great conversation. Oh, yeah, Will, thank you so much for calling. I'm actually really ready to advance with my health and to take that on next in my life. This is the perfect time for you to call. What? In what universe does that happen? Apparently my universe, because I turned my brain off. Now, you're going to tell me that you can't do that because you think too much, you overthink too much, all that stuff, and I'm just going to say this. I have had dozens of coaches in my life. Sorry, not coaches, couches. Apparently I mispronounced that. People that coach me in my life to be better or improve. And every single one has said that I overthink everything. I have my wife and all my family members that say I overthink everything. My current mentor in business and everyone that knows me in business, the first thing they say is, you think too much. So I am the master overthinker. And I still have managed to turn my brain off and put it to the side. If I can do it, you can do it. Now, it may not happen straight away. It may take some practice. But when you have those thoughts come up like, I'm not talented enough, I'm not skilled enough, I'm not competent enough, or for Vari, that your thoughts don't matter, now that you see that and you can see what they are specifically and hopefully you've written them down, you can go put those to the side. The same as I did today. And again, I'm not going to tell you guys to do anything that I don't do myself. So I'm putting my thoughts aside too. Now, as you put your thoughts aside, as you turn off your brain, and then you create a new experience like I did just an hour ago on the phone. The next time I go to pick up the phone or email or talk to someone in person or whatever, I'll have that thought come up of people are stupid idiots and they don't deserve my phone call and all that stuff. But now, much more quickly afterwards, will be the thought, hey, but you remember that one friend? Oh, and you remember that other friend? Oh, and you remember that? Oh, yeah, so maybe this friend is one of those friends and really needs me to call them. Now, that won't happen overnight. But the more experiences you layer on top, the quicker it'll happen. And then, like I said, when it comes to on the health side for me now, I can call pretty much anyone and talk to pretty much anyone because I've layered enough of those examples. But it only happened when I turned off my brain. So it can seem like a big leap sometimes. And you can have lots of little tricks, and it might seem like a big leap. For example, if it was public speaking, getting up on stage when you've been deathly afraid of that for so long, that might be too big of a leap to just turn off your brain and jump on stage. You might just stand on the stage and realize you got there and go, oh my God, and it'd be too big. So find a step that's a little bit smaller and you can build towards that. And other thing you can do to really support yourself as you layer new experiences and as you turn off your brain is to inundate yourself with the new information. Inundate yourself. What's the best way to learn a language? Immerse yourself in that new language. When I went to Mexico for 2 weeks, my Spanish really improved. I speak Spanish, but it got way better because I was listening to Spanish music. I bought new songs on my iPhone. I practiced all the time with people. I bought a Spanish book. I'd write down words and then look them up later, use them in a new sentence. I immersed myself. So you want to immerse yourself, inundate yourself with new information. So if it's in the area of I'm not talented enough or I'm not skilled enough, who are all the people that you can find that had a breakthrough in their talent? There are so many shows, Dancing with the Stars, of all these people who sucked at dancing and got better by the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
There's all these shows about people that sucked at so many things and got better at those very things. put their posters on your wall, watch their YouTube videos, watch movies. I am constantly watching movies. I have an entire list of based on a true story movies. A lot of them are sports because they make a lot of those kinds of movies as sports movies. But there's other ones like Apollo 13. Stories of overcoming, stories of people that had the worst obstacles and then overcame them. And I've been watching those for years to keep my mind inundated with the messages of no matter who you are, no matter where you start, you can reach the finish line. Because our society and our world loves to tell you the total opposite. Our world and society loves to tell you that you're not talented enough. You need another degree. You need another whatever. So it's our job to inundate in the other way. You can also get books. You can also hang out with better people, hang out with people that affirm how awesome you are in this specific area. Again, we're not talking about general, we're talking about lay. Um, so a good example of this, if you want to dismantle the thought that no one will ever love and accept me, you probably shouldn't watch this season's The Bachelor. Just a thought. If you have the thought that the world is a dangerous place, probably shouldn't watch CSI New York or CSI Miami or CSI anything. So you want to look at the rest of your life too, and where have you been unconsciously layering in the wrong direction? So, homework. I'm going to do this differently than before. And we're at 9 o'clock, so I'll do this now, and then I'd love to hear from everyone. You know, what came up for you this class? What were your thoughts? What are you taking away from this class? But for homework, I want to ask you guys, or actually ladies, it's all ladies on the call, what do you think your homework should be? So instead of me telling you what the homework is, what do you think your homework should be?
So did you want us to share what we think the homework should be? Okay,
Yep.
so I think for me, what I'm getting is that I need to be more conscious of and intentional with how I do everything in my, well, maybe not everything, but how I do my day-to-day. It's sort of twofold. Like I'm having a hard time pulling experiences to mind or pulling things from my experience to integrate into the call. And I think that's partly because I'm not, like I sort of just go through my routines. And so be conscious, one reason is for that, just so that I know myself better, and also so that I can, I guess, consciously decide which layers I'm improving on, and yeah, sort of just applying everything that we've talked about.
Okay, great. And Vari said, I wish I could speak right now. Listening to Kara is like being inside my own head.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. It's nice to hear. It's nice to hear that your thoughts are valid in a sense, not necessarily valid, but that other people go through the same things. Not that I want you to be going through like, difficult thoughts or anything, but it's just a reinforcement, right?
Yeah, totally.
You're not alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Vari also said, I think we should refine our leadership goals and your why. Be specific about the layers associated with those goals and go through the story. Oh, this is homework. Sorry. And go through the stories that stop us. Then come up with a off our brain. Okay, great. And Tara said, I agree with both ladies.
Will? Am I the only one for whom Will froze?
Any thoughts?
Will, I think there's some connection problems. We might have missed a bunch of things that you said.
Will?
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, Vari.
Oh, hey!
Hi! What happened?
Oh.
Okay,
Oh,
no,
Will
Will's
has
gone.
Okay, well, maybe Will has to come back now.
Okay.
Of course, now it starts to work.
Was there something, like, did you change the setting
I
on
just
it?
turned my microphone on and off again.
Oh.
Will should be able to get back
Um,
into the call.
yeah, he should be, right? Like, we wouldn't
Yeah.
have to re-invite him
No,
or
he should be able
anything.
to just get himself back in. Depending on what's going on with him, I guess.
Mm-hmm. What do we do?
I don't know.
Oh, Tara, Will got
Oh, wait,
disconnected.
there's Will.
Is he back? Okay.
You're back.
Mhm.
And you can hear me now.
Hi.
Oh, and I can hear you.
Yeah, I know.
It was my fault. Oops. Sorry. Uh, yeah, I was just saying in terms of what you guys think the homework should be, and Kara, you were saying about that you're, and I don't know if this will all be on the recording now, but that's okay. I'm sure the first part recorded. It's good to know you're not alone in this of the challenges that
Yes.
you're totally not. You know,
Because sometimes when I say things, I feel like I don't know if I'm making sense. But I don't know.
and
I'm
not
all over it with you, Kara. That's it. It's fine.
and uh, not to go back in that too much, but just a thought to leave you
Back
with.
on the therapist's couch.
No, it's not those.
No.
Uh, all of that, everything you just said. I wonder if I make sense sometimes, and
Yeah.
that's all of the same thing.
Mm-hmm. The same thing.
It
Do you
all comes
mean
from the same vein where it's like
right? Like what you were
us.
talking about earlier? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's all the same weed,
Yeah.
and just different roots of the same weed. So one of the roots is like, I'm not talented enough, I'm not skilled enough, da, da, da. And then the other one's like, I wonder if people understand me, if I'm making sense. And then
Mm-hmm.
does Will like what I'm saying right now? Am I giving the right answer for the class? And then
Mm-hmm.
like it's got all these different roots, and whatever it is, doesn't matter. Like I
Right.
said, don't go spend an hour on the meditation cushion trying to figure this out. Doesn't matter. Just become aware of the roots that you know, and all it takes is one or two or three roots, and then the weed will die just
Mm-hmm.
just by itself. And you can, there are books and courses and everything on that, and you don't need to go to any of that. Like for Kara and everyone listening to this, please hear me when I say everything you need to do that process is in this class. I know you're gonna want to go read Tony Robbins, and you're gonna want to go take all these classes, and you're gonna want to do all these things and neurolinguistic programming and all this fun, cool stuff. And please go do all of that. If it makes you happy to go do all that stuff, go do it. And everything you need to shift all of that is in this class. From 12 years of on the court, in the trenches experience, everything you need is in this class.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So you want to be more conscious and intentional in your life, know yourself better, and which layers to improve. And Vari, I lost everything that you typed when I got kicked
All
off
right.
and put back
I
on.
just I suggested that we just get more specific with what you were asking us before. So refining our leadership goals and our why. Be specific about the layers that are associated with these goals, so they're not just the random accomplishments throughout your life. Um, the stories that stop us, and then come up with a situation in which we could turn off our brain that would be helpful to achieve that goal.
Okay, great. Anything?
Yeah, that's great. I think my consciousness thing was a step that I need to take before heading into Faris. But yeah, I agree. Those are important.
Yeah, it's all part of the same journey. So
Yeah,
do all
like
that.
in order to do those, I should be more conscious first. Mhm.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of a tough one because being more conscious is like
Mhm.
I want to be a better person.
Right.
What does that mean?
So it's not too specific, right? So I need to define it
So if,
concretely.
yeah,
Yeah,
so if
it's got to
you're
be
more
Yeah.
conscious,
measurable, right?
Yeah.
the steps that Bar is talking about will help you be more conscious just by
Mhm.
doing steps.
Okay.
Okay, great. And Tara, anything to add? Not that you have to, but if you do, type it in there. Okay, great. So we started 5 minutes late. We are now 10 minutes over, so a little bit late on time. So I just want to end with what did you guys get out of this class? What are you left with? And then Vari, if you could type up that homework the best that you can think and the best that you can remember, and then I'll add in anything that we might have missed. Would be awesome. So I just want to hear what did you guys get out of this class? What stuck? What are you looking forward to?
Um, so I actually did a class at school on leadership today, and
Oh wow.
I started reflecting on it then and now, reflecting on where I generally fall in regards to being a leader in my roles, like in various different situations. And I tend to take a different leadership role depending on where I am. So whether
Mm-hmm.
it be school or work or young ones. And um, I guess what I've reflected on is that isn't necessarily the result of me feeling like I've chosen the appropriate role for me in those situations. It's based on my confidence levels in that situation. So um, I'm just sort of reflecting on um, how I feel about myself will change my ability or desire to take on a leadership role depending on where I am. So it can
Okay.
be so it seems very I'm just noticing that like have the leadership skills, but then as soon as I, have a bump in my self-confidence, it's as if I don't have them, or it feels as
Hmm.
if I don't have them. So it seems very fleeting, and so I need to sort of stabilize that a bit.
Okay, great, great. Kara, how about you?
What I'm thinking about most now is that the negative roots that we talked about that I have in my thinking, um, I really would like to break them down. So I guess like in the coming days, that's what I'll work on, um, because I think that those really do hold me back from taking on leadership roles and from being an effective leader when I am in those roles. So yeah, that's
Okay,
basically it.
cool. And Tara said something similar that I really enjoyed all of this, looking at the roots that my negative cognition have. And the thought that I want to leave you guys with on that, just before we finish up or end, is really this ratio that I've found discovered in my life, which is 99% and 1%. So 99% of the time, focus on where you want to go, what you want, what's working, what you love, what you appreciate, what are you proud of, what's going really well. And 1% of the time, focus on what's not working. Where do I need to correct things? What roots do I need to pull up? If you mess with that ratio, I promise you, you'll have a shitty, shitty week until we have another call and you can get yourself back on track. Don't mess with the ratio. So, however that looks for you. And if you're going to go into the roots,
Mm-hmm.
just know you might get a little bit dirty. I hadn't even thought of that metaphor before. But if you go into the roots, you might get a little bit dirty, and that's okay. When I saw my thinking, I've been thinking that people are stupid idiots. That hurt because I don't consciously feel like that. So that kind of
Mm-hmm.
was a tough one for me to hear. And when my friend gave me feedback, she heard me speaking, and she gave me feedback that I was being a self-righteous dick. That was hard to hear. So just know when you go into the roots, you might get a little bit dirty, and it's okay because it's only 1% of the time. And
Right.
you're just course correcting, and then the rest of the time you're focusing on where you're going, what's working, what do you love, what are you proud of, what are you happy about. And the course or the steps that we've outlined in this class and that Vari is going to write up as the homework, that really is what you need. Just knowing what direction you're going, what layers do you want to do, what's the thought that's kind of in the way of that, and then turn your brain off. So as you can see in that ratio, like only one of the steps is one of the crappy thoughts. That's not the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter who said it, when they said it, what they were wearing when they said it, what was the color of the eyes of the person that said it, was it sunny that day? Like none of that matters. Really, truly doesn't. So, okay, great. So we'll end there, and thank you guys so much for taking the time to be here to expand and improve your leadership for yourself, for the world, for young ones, for everyone in your life, for all the people that you will touch in your life, for all the people that you would have touched even if we never had this class. You guys are already on that path, and I'm just really honored to get to be with you as you expand in the next part of your leadership.
Okay, thanks so much, Will.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, and we will talk soon.
Bye.
Talk soon.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.